everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League results. We'll be reacting to the Scottish League Cup final and also the Scottish Premier League results. A little bit of managerial news. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off, as always, with English Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 13th of December, the results finished: Chelsea 2, Everton 0, Liverpool 2, Brighton 0, Burnley 2, Fulham 3, Arsenal 2, Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 3, Nottingham Forest 3, Tottenham 0, Sunderland 1, Newcastle 0, West Ham 2, Aston Villa 3, Brentford 1, Leeds United 4. And then yesterday, on Monday, the 15th of December, there was one match which finished Man United 4, Bournemouth 4. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I'm going with the one on Monday night, the goal fest,
Yep.
Man United 4, Bournemouth 4. Just the fact is, just the end-to-end football, the calibre of the goals, especially Bruno Fernandes's free kick, which is unbelievable. And
Yeah,
then
it's a good goal.
you had Marcus Taverniers, also a brilliant free kick, offside the wall, Bolton corner. And you had obviously some great goals from Evan Nielsen. You had Semenyo had scored a brilliant goal. And then he had a couple of a great goal for Cunha, and obviously a couple of headers from Man United as well, Ahmad and Kisman. So the fact is, it was 8 different goal scorers, and 8 goals. And to be honest, some of the football at times was exciting, but from a defensive point of view, it was all over the gaff on both sides. But as we know, we are big fans of Bournemouth on this channel, just because the manager, he plays really exciting football. And he virtually lost his full back four in the summer there, and they're still competing at the top end of the table. And like you say, they've got a really good groove going, and like you say, they just seem to keep rolling on, and they're just a good side to watch. They play good football, and like you say, Mirren's turned a corner in Manchester United recently, and they're on a good run of form themselves. So for me, it was the best game in terms of watching it as a neutral. And that's what I do is in the Premier League. I don't have a team that I support. And I thought just the standard of goals and just as an attacking sense, it was just really a joy to watch.
Yep, I think it's hard to dispute that. Was the standout match from the weekend. I mean, not every week do you see a 4-4 match in the Premier League. So definitely that was probably the standout match. Lots of good goals. It's quite interesting now because I think although Man United drew 4 each with Bournemouth, you would say that Bournemouth scoring 4 goals at Old Trafford is pretty 10 years ago that'd be unheard of. But I don't know, like I watched a bit of that game last night, and Man United have been criticised for their attacking play, but I actually felt like last night they played under Ruben Amorim. Going forward, they played really well. Defensively, they did look dodgy, but the biggest complaint has been where the goals coming from. And I thought last night they were really good going forward. Like Bruno Fernandes scoring a really good free kick. Lots of good attacking play, and I felt like they actually played well, even though they drew 4 each. They just have to sort that defensive side out, and obviously the centre mid situation's a problem. But for Man United, they'll be disappointed considering that they were 3-2 down. They scored two quick goals to make it 4-3, and then Bournemouth scored to make it 4-4. It's going to be interesting with Man United, but because they know that they'll be losing Brian and Bumo to the Africa Cup of Nations. Same with Amad Diallo, 2 quite crucial players for Ruben Amorim in Man United. So it's going to be interesting to see how they'll cope when they're both away with their national teams. So and then obviously Bournemouth. I think they've got a really good record at Old Trafford. The last 2 seasons they've went there and won, and obviously came really close. They actually came really close to. I don't know if you saw it, Pearse, in the last kick of the game. David Brooks had a great chance for Bournemouth to make it 5-4. If he'd just got it out his feet quicker, I think he would have scored it. So Bournemouth actually had the best chance to make it 5-4, which would have been which would have been crazy. But no, that's a good point for them. I think they'll be happy with that. So yeah, but that's it. But I have to mention a couple of games. So the Tyneside derby returned, Newcastle versus Sunderland. So obviously Sunderland at home. You know, I think a really good underrated derby in England. Uh, you know, I watched a bit of that. It was a really the atmosphere was unbelievable. I knew it would be anyway. And I thought Sunderland deserved a win. Newcastle, would I thought really disappointing. Didn't create really anything in the match. You know, lost a lot of second balls. You know, and yeah, considering the squad they have compared to Sunderland, I thought Newcastle would have put on a better showing. And they've lost now Dan Burn. He got injured during the match. So he's out now for quite a while, which again rubs salt in the wounds. And then for Sunderland, a really good victory. They're looking really good, Sunderland. Lots of good players. You know, look like they're going to be very comfortably staying up this season, which is quite good to see. Because I think when the stadium light at Sunderland, I think when that place is rocking, I think it's such a tough place to go. I think the fans up in Sunderland are really good. And yeah, the atmosphere was really good, and it's really good to see that derby back because I think it's quite an underrated derby, the Tyneside derby. I think it's quite a good one. So yeah, it was really good to see that. And then just lastly, Aston Villa winning 3-2 at West Ham. Quite a good result for them. That they're but this league 3 points behind Arsenal, and Arsenal are top of the league. So I think you can say at the moment Aston Villa are involved in a title race, which is quite crazy considering the start of the season they had. But they're doing really well at the moment. Morgan Rodgers
Tom,
is a star player.
mentioned about the Aston Villa. That's now 10 wins in a row in the league.
Well, there you go. There you go. Then I didn't know that, but that just says it all. The how well they're doing. I think they're going. Nobody's really talking about them. I think they're dark horses.
Mm.
It's just a question of if they can keep this up. I think they need to keep a lot of their squad fit. But Morgan Rodgers is definitely their star player. I mean, he scored two. I mean, his second goal was really good at the weekend. It was a really good goal from outside the box. So they're looking really good. That's and it's once again what John's doing, and a favourites to win Europa League as well, in my opinion. So this could turn out to be a really good season for Villa. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the Premier League confirmed. Premier League results. Obviously, not much change in the table. Still going as the way it is. Arsenal got a big win as well. Scored in the last minute against Wolves, who are bottom of the table. Didn't expect that, but yeah, still going the way it is in the Premier League. So we'll move on into the Scottish Premier League results just before we talk about the Scottish League Cup. So in the Scottish Premier League, on Saturday, the 13th of December, there was two matches which finished Livingston 2, Dundee 2, Dundee United 0, Motherwell 0. On Sunday, the 14th of December, there was one match which finished Aberdeen 2, Kilmarnock 1. And then yesterday, on Monday, the 15th of December, there was one match which finished Rangers 1, Hibs 0. So before we talk about which match, Pearse, just a little bit of managerial news in the Scottish Premier League. So it was confirmed yesterday on Monday that Kilmarnock have sacked their manager Stuart Kettlewell. So that was just after Aberdeen. That was just after their loss to Aberdeen at Pittodrie. So obviously they said in the statement that after the recent results, they believe that change is required. So Stuart Kettlewell, he was only appointed in the summer, but he has now lost his job. So what's your thoughts on that, Pearse?
Bit of a shock. I didn't even know you sacked. So it's very much a shock.
Well, there you go.
It's the first I've heard of it, so thanks for letting me know, Tom. But like you say, like he had a decent spell at Motherwell. And like you say, I think he said a couple of games here and there. He was kind of touch and go in terms of results. But obviously the table doesn't lie. They're second bottom of the table. Brought in a lot of players this summer, a lot of change. And like you say, it just hasn't really kicked on this season. And I think probably change is the right way to go about it because obviously you don't want to be getting into a relegation dogfight, because trying to get out of that Scottish Championship was extremely difficult. So maintaining their Premiership status is the be all and end all for a club like Kilmarnock. So yeah, probably the right decision. But like you say, I was shocked because I didn't even know he was sacked.
Well, there you go. No, I mean, well, when you listen to this piece, you'll think you understand more. So obviously they haven't won. They've gone 10 matches without a win, and they've lost 8 matches in 10 games, 2 draws in that. So I think you can kind of maybe understand why they felt that they need to change. But it's quite. But I actually thought they started the season well. They went on a good. They had a good start to the season. You know, um, they had 6 wins in 13 games at the start of the season, which that's including cup games. So it was quite a good start to Stuart Kettlewell's tenure at Kilmarnock. But it's just after when about the September mark, it's just went downhill very fast. And I mean, they're second bottom, as you said, 3 points adrift. 3 points. There's only 3 points between bottom of the table, Livingston and Kilmarnock now. So, yeah, I just think Kilmarnock felt that they had to do that, and it just hasn't worked out for Stuart Kettlewell. Obviously, big shoes to fill. He replaced Dennis McInnes, who did a good job at Kilmarnock. That's now Kilmarnock looking for a new manager. And I'm interested to see what path they go down. Do they go down a path of getting a really experienced manager in, or do they go for somewhat a young, inexperienced manager? I'm interested to see what they do there. But as you said, for Kilmarnock, it's really important that they stay up. And yet, obviously, when the latest managerial news from Kilmarnock is updated, we'll let you all know. So yeah, Pearse. After that, any match there that stands out to you? Quite a quiet weekend in the league.
Probably the Rangers won Hibernian 0. Just because obviously Rangers back to winning ways. Hibs are no mugs. And like you say, it was a tight encounter, but I thought Rangers played a lot better than what they've been playing recently in terms of Europe, and they got obviously a draw last weekend against Kilmarnock, so it keeps them within touching distance of obviously Celtic and Hearts. But like you say, I think it was a quiet weekend. Obviously, they won the game with a set piece. They had a couple cleared off the line. Just for me, it was probably the standout fixture in terms of a kind of quiet weekend. There wasn't really too much to shout about, so not going to delve too much into the game. I'll just mention it was Rangers 1, Hibs 0.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was quite a quiet week. There wasn't a lot. Obviously, the Kilmarnock game resulted in a managerial change. It was quite a good win for Aberdeen, that, because Kilmarnock were 1-0 up at half time. And Aberdeen managed to turn it around in the second half, and Aberdeen have managed to turn their form around. So quite a significant win for Aberdeen. That I probably will go the Rangers game, just considering it was third versus fourth, and a big win for Rangers, that coming off a Europa League performance. Hibs doing all right in the league, and for Rangers to win that 1-0 and keep a clean sheet, really important win for them. And they're not that too far behind Celtic at the moment. So, that's a game I'll go for, which stands out to me in the league. But we'll now move on to the most important kind of game in the Scottish football this last weekend, and that was the Scottish League Cup final, which was between St Mirren and Celtic. And we now know that St Mirren are now the holders of the Scottish League Cup after they defeated Celtic 3-1 in the final. So quite a shock, to be honest, in my opinion. Pearse, what was your thoughts on the match?
Wasn't a shock for me, because I think this new manager that's came in has had a terrible start to his tenure. 3 defeats in his first 3 games. Changing the system drastically with a squad that's decimated with injuries and He took away all the confidence that Martin O'Neill had, winning 7 his previous out of 8 games, and then he's just changed the system. The players look confused, and they're playing a back three, which for me, even if you had a strong back three, well, Van Dijk, you'd feel more confident. But if you're playing a back three of like 3 left-footed players, and obviously we kind of played Ralston as a centre half, and let's be honest, Ralston shouldn't even be at Celtic, never mind as a centre half. So and then you're playing wingers as wing backs, and you're playing Diaz Maida in a number 10 role. It's just baffling to me. The decisions, and I thought, like for example, for me, I think St Mirren is like a Temu Hearts. Like I think they play the exact same way as Hearts in terms of like organised, structured, set pieces, and fast transitions like counter attacks. And they throw them everybody in the line, and they just cover every bloody grass. And the perfect example is that is Alex Gogic. Like he's like a man mountain, he's colossus, and even the second goal, his outside of the boot cross into the back post. I'm like, how has this man done this? This man's just a hatchet man meant to be, but he's obviously got some technical ability that we've just never seen before. But no, St Mirren, I thought they absolutely deserved it. I thought they had better chances. Although they sat and defended well, you expected that, but you never expected Celtic to break them down. And under this new manager, they seem to have lost all attacking threat, and I think this season Celtic have lost all attacking threat. Defensively, they look all over the place, and up front, they look void of ideas. And then Ayunga scored a double, probably could have scored another. And St Mirren just made it look so easy in counter attack. So for me, St Mirren worthy winners, and what a job Stephen Robinson's doing at St Mirren, and I don't know how he's still at St Mirren because he should be touted for bigger clubs because I think we say it in every podcast, it's not the most attractive football, but it's effective. And he's now won a trophy with St Mirren, who've got like a minuscule budget with a small stadium, small fans. But the fact is that he's now consistently getting top six. 3 seasons in a row. They got Europe this year. Well, they won a couple of qualifying rounds. And like you say, what a job he's done, and I thought they thoroughly deserved the victory.
Yep. I'll be honest, I did think before the game that I did think Celtic would have enough to win. That was my prediction. I thought Celtic, I know Wilfried Nancy, new manager, he'd lost his first 2 games in a row. I thought that this would be the one that he'd win the trophy, but it hasn't turned out like that. St Mirren have won 3-1. And as you said, in terms of St Mirren point of view, I thought they fully deserved it on the day. They scored literally the first minute in the game. First corner, good header, gives them a really good start. Celtic had a little spell for half an hour. After that, they got a goal. But then after that, sort of going into in the second half especially, I thought St Mirren were much the better side. And to be honest with you, I think for Celtic it was lucky it was only 3, because I can remember some chances St Mirren had, and it could easily have been 5. St Mirren scored. I thought Celtic all day had problems with the 2 strikers, Ayunga and Lundaloo, his name is.
Yeah.
I thought Lundaloo especially gave Liam Scales a lot of problems. It was quite two very physical strikers up front. And that's the way St Mirren play. They've always played like that. They always have 2 big physical strikers up front as well. And I quite like it because it gives you a good presence up front. And it caused the Celtic back 3 a lot of problems. But as you said, with St Mirren, that they've not got the most amazing style of play where they keep the ball on the ground and they pass it. They're very much, they know what they're doing. They're very structured, very organised. They know they want to get the ball up. They want to get the ball up the park as quickly as they can, and for them it's effective. And Stephen Robinson's played like that with St Mirren ever since he's joined, and it's worked for them, and that's then bagged a trophy. And these fans will have these memories forever. And it's quite good to sometimes see these clubs winning League Cups, because I feel like it means more to them than, for example, when Celtic win it, because for Celtic and Rangers, for example, they're used to it. But for clubs like St Mirren, they're not. So it is quite good sometimes to see the fans enjoying that and embracing these memories. But yeah, fully deserved for St Mirren, and for Stephen Robinson as well. As you said, he's a really good manager in this league, and I think there'll be a lot of clubs looking at him. I wouldn't be surprised in the summer. Obviously, St Mirren fans will not want to hear that. They'll be wanting to keep him. But yeah, fully deserved for St Mirren on day. And for Celtic, I think it's safe to say that there's a bit of a crisis going on at the moment. You know, we haven't talked about Wilfried Nancy. He's started since me and you've been on the podcast, but he's had 3 games. He's had 3 losses in a row. He's the first ever Celtic manager to start his tenure with two losses in a row as well. And yet, there's just a lot of problems. As you said, it's just system. Celtic have gone to a 3-4-3, and it's quite obvious it's not working. The players don't look comfortable with the formation. I feel like they're struggling going forward. I don't really see the patterns of play going forward. I feel like they really are struggling in the attacking side. Celtic, I don't see any real threat going forward. And to me, Wilfried Nancy looks like a guy that he looks confused. I feel like he doesn't really know. He doesn't know his players that well yet. He doesn't really know. Obviously, he doesn't know his best team. He doesn't know which players to rely on, which players to. And this is a result. They've already lost a trophy this season, and he's come in. He's come into one of the most important weeks in Celtic season, which, to be fair, I feel sorry for him in a sense, because he's not had a lot of time on the training pitch. But on the other side, to lose your first 3 matches in a row, Celtic manager, the pressure's going to come on you. Celtic play tomorrow. At the time of recording this, they play Dundee United away at Tannadice. At the moment, you don't see much chance of Celtic winning that game. If they were to draw that game or even lose that game, I mean, I don't know. The pressure would just intensify even more. And
I think he should be sacked.
see, it's really hard saying that, because he's only been there a week. And I know
it doesn't matter. It's like you're different kettle of fish. If you manage Celtic and Rangers, I look at Russell Martin. I think he looks for me like for example, like Russell Martin at the start of the season. What he says in press conference is baffling. His tactics are baffling. He looks out of his depth, tactically, and he looks all over the place. He looks confused. The players look confused. And like you say, Cam McGregor summed up perfectly after the match at the weekend that Celtic are easy to play against, and generally are. Thing if you're any Scottish Premiership side, and even any side in Europe at the moment, you look at Celtic, you think we can get at them, we can get a win. Like before, there was a fear factor going to Celtic Park or playing Celtic in a cup game, or even in Europe. But I think that fear factor's gone, and I think that's down to the manager. And I think obviously it's a bit harsh. You've been here for only a week, but like you say, you know what happens when you take over a massive club like Celtic, and if you don't meet the standards right away, it's a cutthroat business. And I think if they lose any more games, they could be well out of the title race, and it could be gone, the title in terms of. And I think if he stays in charge, I think Celtic win 0 trophies this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's an understandable point of view, because obviously of the recent results. I mean, I totally get what you mean. I don't know. I just think with Celtic right now, everything's very up in the air. What I do know is that they're definitely in a crisis, because losing 3 matches in a row and losing a trophy in the manner that they did, I think you can definitely say right now that they are in a crisis, and it's really going to be interesting to see how they do in the games going forward. Because right now, Celtic don't look like they're going to win any match. which is quite crazy to say, but it's true. So yeah, very, very interesting times at Celtic right now. And obviously on the podcast, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest what's going on. Yeah, very much something to keep your eye on, because it's very unsettling times at Celtic. Just staying on, just before we talk about the Asian football news, Pearse, just staying on Celtic, a little bit of Celtic news. So the former Celtic manager, Brendan Rodgers, he's back in management. So he's been appointed the manager of Saudi Arabian club Al-Qadsiah. I think I've said that name right. So that's Brendan Rodgers' first managerial job outside of the UK. So he's now moved into Saudi Arabia, into the Saudi Arabian Football League. And he's now the manager of Al-Qadsiah. So, what's your thought on that, Pearse?
I think he's obviously just doing what a lot of managers and a lot of players are doing, and taking advantage of obviously that massive cash injection when you go over to Saudi Arabia, because Steven Gerrard's done it as a manager, Stefano Pioli, Roberto Mancini, the list goes on, Simone Inzaghi. So I think it's one of those, he's getting a bit of sun, he's getting out the spotlight in the UK, because I think it's going to get worse. He obviously is a Celtic fan, and the way it ended, I think he just wants to get away from the UK, and he's signed a 2.5 year deal, and he's surprisingly took John Kennedy with him, which I think if he gets another job in the UK, possibly down in England, I think John Kennedy will continue to follow him. I think they've got a good working relationship. Where they win a trophy, I don't really know. I don't really know the club. But I think, like you say, like if you're offered that sort of life-changing money, I don't think you can really turn it down. I don't think you can have any qualms against Brendan Rodgers looking out for his personal interests.
Yep, very interesting appointment for Brendan Rodgers. As I said, first job outside of British football, going into a different environment, a different culture. He probably thinks that it's a smart move considering how it ended at Celtic, as you said. And it'll be interesting to see how he does. We all consider Arabian football league, they're very ambitious. They've got lots of money. They want to bring the best players, as many best players as they can. So I think for Brendan Rodgers, I think he's always been that kind of guy that likes going to clubs that are ambitious, that like to spend money. He's definitely going to have that at the club he's going to. But I don't know much about this club, Al-Qadsiah. What I do know about what I read just before we came on is that they've got some good players. Nacho Fernandez, the former Real Madrid centre back, plays for them. So obviously we both know about him. I'm a Real Madrid legend. Won everything there is to win at Real Madrid.
Yeah, he's certainly.
But I think he's going to get played. He's been important for Rodgers. You've got Matteo Retegui, the Italian striker.
Oh yeah,
he plays for them as well. So he's definitely not going into. He's definitely going into a team, couple of good European experienced players. So I definitely think they'll help him settle in, and obviously we'll keep an eye on it, see how he does. So yeah, Brendan Rodgers, new manager of Al-Qadsiah in the Saudi Arabian League. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so Asian football roundup. So on Saturday the 13th of December, we had Jeff United 1, Takushima Fortieth 0, and that was the J League 1 playoff. So congratulations to Jeff United Chiba on promotion to J League 1 for the first time in 17 years. So Vissel Kobe have announced a manager, Michael Skibe, as a new head coach following the expiration of his contract at fellow J League 1 side Sanfrecce Hiroshima. And Sanfrecce Hiroshima have moved quickly to announce the appointment of Bartosz Gol as a new head coach. The German-Polish manager was the RB Leipzig head of youth performance, and his one and only top-flight managerial job in his career to date was at Górnik Zabrze in Poland back in 22-23 season. And Takehiro Tomiyasu, the Japanese defender, is set to join Ajax on a contract until June 2026. The short-term deal in place with a medical set to happen on Tuesday, and join on a free transfer following his expiration of his contract by mutual agreement with Arsenal in the summer due to a plague of injuries. So that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.